That's the fun part. Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our regularly scheduled City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. We are going to call this meeting to order. Then we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for words of inspiration. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all you have given us. We thank you for the precious city of Clawson, all the amazing people you have placed here. We are proud to represent her and the families who choose to make this their home. We appreciate our employees, those who serve the public in all aspects, and we ask not only for the safety and protection of all who enter our city gates, but that you will meet their needs, heal wounds, provide hope, and make each of us a beacon of light for our surrounding neighbors. As we make our way through our agenda this evening, we ask that you give us strength and courage. May this council have wisdom to make decisions that will bring order, stability, unity, and prosperity to our community. Let us be clothed in compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. We thank you for our faithfulness and for your providence, and we pray that you would be honored and lifted up in our actions and throughout our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Here.
Mayor Milan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt.
Present.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to call for approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda for June 4th, 2024 as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt.
Yes.
And Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved our agenda, and we will move to public comments for items on the agenda. If you'd like to speak to anything that we have on our agenda this evening, we welcome you to come to our podium. We'll allot you 3 minutes. We ask that you state your name and your address. Is anyone interested? Okay, everyone looks comfortable. We'll move on from public comments to proclamations and presentations. Tonight, we have the pleasure of introduction and administration of an oath of office for a new patrol officer, Sarah Tolman. Chief Bouse.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today, I have next to me our newest Clawson Police Officer, Sarah Tolman. It is with pleasure that I introduce you to her. She is a 2011 graduate of Milford High School and a 2015 graduate of Grand Valley University. And we're very excited to have her. She just graduated the Police Academy on May 23rd, and she is going through orientation here with our Clawson Police Department, and you will see her on the road very soon. So we are very excited to introduce you to her tonight and take her oath of office.
Thank you. Sarah, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Wish you many happy, peaceful years here in the city of Clawson.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
You just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the state. The Charter of the City of Clawson. And that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of patrol officer. In for the city of Clawson. County of Local. And state of Michigan. According to the best of my ability.
Would you like to say something? She's saying no.
I'm eager and proud to support this community and serve and protect, and it's nice to meet all of you.
Thank you. Moving on to our next item, we have a proclamation declaring June 7th, 2024 Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is Wear Orange Day. A proclamation recognizing the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence and Awareness Day. This proclamation declares the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the city of Clawson, to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and to declare that we as a country must do more to end this public health crisis. Whereas every day, more than 120 Americans are killed by gun violence and more than 200 are shot and wounded, with an average of more than 17,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And whereas Michigan has 1,382 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 13.7 deaths per 100,000 people, a crisis that costs the state $16.8 billion each year, of which $380.5 million is paid by taxpayers. Michigan has the 25th highest rate of gun deaths in the United States. And whereas gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities with more than half of all firearm-related gun deaths in the nation occurring in 127 cities. And whereas cities across the nation, including in Clawson, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. And whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is any mayor's highest responsibility, and whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories, and whereas mayors and law enforcement officers, in partnership with local violence intervention activists and resources, know their communities best and are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep each citizen safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever, as we see an increase in firearm homicides and non-fatal shootings across the country, increased calls to domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. Whereas in June 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15, and on June 2nd, 2023, to recognize her 26th birthday, people across the United States recognized National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wore orange in tribute of Hadia Pendleton and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, they chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of a human life. And whereas anyone can join the campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 7th, the first Friday in June in 2024, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And whereas by wearing orange on June 7th, 2024, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our families and communities safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Paula Milan of the City of Clawson, declare June 7th, 2024 as National Human. The statistic, it's equally several years back, and I'm so glad it's here now since we have people who have suffered because of this. And I would like to offer the floor to anyone who would like to speak on this topic at this time. No pressure.
No pressure. Well, nice seeing you all again. Ted Werner, 760 Shenandoah. Obviously, you're all aware we lost our daughter, Alex, February 13, 2023, at the MSU mass shooting. This is something that you never think you would have to deal with. It's something that has rocked our world and changed everything that we do and how we do things. So first of all, I want to thank you for making the proclamation and continuing to do so yourself and the council. We appreciate that. I think it's an amazing thing that our tiny little city does, and we appreciate it because we can save one life because of it. It makes a difference. It truly, truly does. And these are little things. So we wear orange. There's a reason behind it, and I think you eloquently put the exact reason behind that. It happens to be my favorite color. As a kid growing up, I wore orange everywhere. Nancy can contest. I used to wear orange and pink together. She thought there was something wrong with me. But it's just funny that my daughter, Alex, loved that I would wear orange. And just kind of things go full circle. So we're thankful. We're grateful. If the city would allow us, these are the national gun violence signs. I would put it up for the week. For Friday, none. It just goes in front of the city hall. We do have them at all the schools. The school board did approve us to put them up. If you would let us do it, we will. Understand if you don't, but we'd be happy to do so. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Nick, what are the rules on signage? We can allow a sign such as that for our family members, can we not?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good answer.
Would you mind if we put it up today and I'll take it down Saturday?
No, of course not.
Is that all right? Think you good with that?
Absolutely.
I don't want to get Nick mad.
Probably not possible. But thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing your heartfelt words.
Thank you.
I stammer at this. I'm so sorry. It's just so heartbreaking to me, you know? So thank you for being part of our community. Moving on, we have a historical presentation. I'm sorry, Leah. We have Leah Davis here from our Clausen Museum. She is our curator, and she has a presentation for us.
Hello, Leah Davis, Clausen Historical Museum. So it's not exactly a presentation, it's more information about a presentation. So at the end of this month, on Saturday, June 29th at 12 o'clock noon, we will have a genealogy presentation here at City Hall in the community room. It's roughly about 45 minutes long with time for questions afterwards. And so we have a woman named Judy Neimer Moon coming in. She is a 30-plus year genealogist from Lineage Journeys. She's going to give a presentation that spans all the way from beginner to experienced but stuck. And so we'll also have some information to pass out to people who, maybe have never started, but they're really interested. And so that will give them some resources, like kind of a starting position as well. If you are stuck somewhere in your genealogy research, she might be able to kind of help get you unstuck. And if not, maybe lead you in the right direction. This presentation is free to the public. No registration. You can decide 10 minutes before if you want to. And so we are looking forward to that. If anyone needs to find more information on it, we do have a Facebook event for it, as well as flyers here at City Hall, over at the library, and of course at the museum. Does anybody have any questions about it? Or yeah.
June 29th at what time?
Oh, I'm sorry, at noon.
You probably did say that. But
No, I'm sorry if I was
didn't
speaking
write
too quickly. But yeah, so it'll be here the last Saturday of this month. And again, it's free to anybody. Anybody's welcome. They don't have to be a Clausen resident. We could, you can join the Oakland County Genealogical Society, and they have more resources, and she's along with them. So, she is going to give me a resource list to pass out to everybody. So, I know she specializes in around the world, but this is where she, yeah.
Age-friendly presentation.
The City Council and the Recreation and
Well, we're fortunate to have Scott Jennings and Lisa Ball.
Okay.
So for this part, it'll be Lisa Baum.
It'll be me. But Scott is my partner. I need his help. We're real busy down there at the center, especially when it comes to our senior services. But as Nick said, tonight, Recreation and Senior Services, we're here to present information on how we're achieving one of the set goals for the fiscal year 23-24, being recognized as an age-friendly community. And first, we'll discuss what an age-friendly community is, the importance of it, and how we will continue to achieve this goal as it is an ongoing process. And then there will be an opportunity for questions once we conclude. So what is an age-friendly community? An age-friendly community is a place where everyone, especially older adults, can easily access services and spaces. The goal is to support healthy aging, social engagement, and connections between people of all ages. These communities prioritize inclusivity and respect for all residents, regardless of age. The importance of it. It's important to have an age-friendly community because the number of older people is growing. By 2030, there will be 73 million Americans age 65 or older, and for the first time in history, there will be more older adults than children by 2035. We need communities that help everyone stay connected and healthy as they get older. One way of doing this is joining the AARP Network of Age-Friendly Communities. The AARP Network of Age-Friendly Communities is a global initiative that supports communities in becoming more inclusive and accessible for older adults. Through this network, communities receive resources, guidance, and recognition for their efforts to create environments that promote healthy aging and well-being. What joining means. Becoming part of the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities involves publicly committing to improving our community for people of spaces and health timing to accommodate those with reduced mobility, affordable housing options, home repair programs, expanded educational programs like digital literacy, and much more. The process of becoming part of the network. First, we would enroll. That's required, and that would need to be signed by the jurisdiction's highest elected official, which could be our mayor. And then we also have a draft resolution prepared. Year one would be conducting a community needs assessment that could include using the AARP's survey tools online. We could also create a task force and then, of course, engage the community in many different ways. Year two would be developing that action plan based off of our assessment. And then years 3 through 5, once we've completed that action plan and it's been approved by AARP, because we would submit it to them for review, would be implementing that plan and working towards that goal. And then finally, year 5, assessing the plan, the impact to our community, and submitting that progress report to AARP. And then just continuing, repeating that process, right? Reevaluating and sharing those solutions, successes, and best practices across the age-friendly network. Some of the areas of focus with this structured process, it guides change and serves as a tool to educate, encourage, promote, and recognize improvements that benefit residents of all ages and life stages. It involves partnerships with residents and other stakeholders and focuses on AARP's 8 domains of livability. Those domains are 1, outdoor spaces and buildings, 2, transportation, 3, civic participation and employment, 4, communication and information, 5, respect and social inclusion, 6, social participation, 7, health services and community supports, and 8, housing. And we don't have to include all of these domains in any action plan we create, just what's applicable to our community's needs. So why join? The city's membership affirms its commitment to becoming an age-friendly community, provides opportunities to share experiences, achievements, and lessons learned with other cities and communities, showcases the projects and accomplishments of the city of Clawson. City listing, our listing would be included on the AARP age-friendly website. Benefits of joining, it's free, no cost, provides a structure for community improvements, fosters valuable partnerships, offers resources for identifying community needs, accesses to webinars, national network, and 2020 include Tai Chi, City Extension Program, presenting language learning opportunities. Senior Services improved communication through increased social media, a great help with doing that this year. Other outreach programs were implemented to evaluate and meet community members' needs. Benefits people of all ages with a focus on aging adults. Joining the AARP network, pictures of our older adults that frequent our center, and well, my child was in there. That's my part. If you have any questions, go
Scott
ahead.
is getting ready for the other presentation regarding recreation, which accounts for roughly 2,200 seniors living in Clawson, and so expanding these services is something we want.
Come through the program, through your programming, I should
Of the
say.
senior center,
Mm-hmm.
we were just talking about, because we were just part of a survey with University of Michigan. There's doing research on congregate meal programs, and what'd you say, about 50 a week, like different.
Yeah, I think between 50 and 100 different people we see over the course of a 2 or 3 week span.
That's nice. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So some days there's 40 people in the chair exercise.
That's typical for our chair exercise. Yeah, that's typical. Our senior services are very robust. Very robust.
I assume it did, but.
Yes, definitely. Our higher, because we have seen some newer faces, so that's always great.
How do you get the word
I do a lot on social media, but of course, all older adults are not online, but about half of them are. But this year, we decided to stick it in with the highlights, which we did receive a lot of calls, and people were, so that's something I'm advocating for, is trying to get that senior.
That's great. Okay, our next up item.
So we're pretty excited that we are ready to go with Rec Pro. We talked about it at a previous meeting 3 months ago, and it was kind of a concept at that point, and we have it set up now. In fact, if you go to the Parks and Recreation Department page, you can see where it says website. If you click on recreation.cityofclawson.com, it takes you to our registration site. So it's set up to view on a desktop, laptop, tablet, phone. You can see that it lists the different categories going across, but also down. So if you're looking on your phone, it'll list them going down, and you can click on each of them and see what for the current season is available in that category. So, and for those of you that can't see this well from behind me, we have senior activities, fitness, music lessons, pet programs, youth programs, similar, special events, facility rentals, and also the facility calendar. So if, for example, we look at youth programs and pick karate, we've got karate in the park starting next week at Hunter. We're excited about that. That's one of our newer programs, targeting a younger audience than most of what our opportunities have been recently. If you look at senior activities, a reminder that we have lunch Monday through Thursday at noon, and then a number of different types of programs. You can click on and see there's several different trips coming up. And if you click on the info button, it will give you more specifics about that item and what it costs, when it is, and where. If it occurs on multiple days, if it's a 6-week class, for example, it'll show all those days and times. But some, like our trips, typically are one-offs. And it also has a great little share button in case you want to put it on your Facebook or your Twitter. And we, of course, are always game for having people tell other people about what they found at Clawson Recreation and Senior Services. So there is a button to sign in up here on the top right, and if you have an account with us already, it'll take you to that, and you can just put your login information in and log in, and starting next week you'll be able to actually register online. Right now we're doing registrations in Rec Pro in the center, and those will be live for credit card processing registrations online next week. My dog Lucy actually has an account, so we'll go ahead and sign in. And you'll see it takes you to her account homepage, so it shows if there are any programs that she's registered for, or if she owes money on something. She really needs that pet obedience. And it also will show if there's anything in the cart already. So I wanted to look at the facility calendar, which you can choose the different facility types, and we won't have every one of our facilities available to view online because there's so many soccer fields and baseball fields. But the rooms at Hunter, the community room here, the pavilion, those are all on here. This is the pavilion, for example, and as you can see, it is pretty busy, especially on weekends and this week, with several elementaries using it through the day. So do you have any questions about RecPro or how we're using it or anything?
It looks great. Gotta simplify the process a lot. Right?
Yeah, it really helps us to be organized in an easier way, and I think it'll be super helpful for our residents and other participants to sign up for stuff, being able to do it online instead of having to call or come in.
Yeah, but a lot of, especially with the senior stuff, we were doing it all on paper, which you could have issues with tracking data properly and then having it in the system, like the reports we can build. We're just gathering more data on anyone who's coming into the center. So we can kind of see, like, is this program working? How many people really actually came? Should we keep this going or add on, additional classes and things like that? I've appreciated just being able to put everything on a computer because I'm a computer person. Paper is hard.
So I'm just going to pull the curtain back for a second. This is what it looks like when we log in. And I just want to show you the courses. Honest, it's coming. So these are all the courses that we have going on for this summer season. So courses, trips, everything is showing here. So Lisa has done a lot of programming, planning, and that's all in here. So it might not be readily evident when you look at the other website, but there's a ton of stuff in here. So we do have a lot of options for people, and this is a helpful view for us too. It shows us how many people have registered so far, how many spots are open, if there's a waiting list, and we can zero in on that. You can search in this by title, by category, by start date, all of those things. It's pretty flexible, and it's been pretty helpful for me learning what all we're doing. And I think for Lisa in moving away from paper and
Well, just keeping all, like, there's one spot for all the information now. Like, we kind of had it all over the place, and it was just like, and all these books, and it's like, it's all right here. So that's been real nice. And I think it'll be just a really great tool to capture data.
Do you still allow for in-person
Yes.
registrations?
Well, and people can, what's nice is people can still call, especially our older adults. They may not be going online, but there are some that do. But they can call us, say, hey, I would like to sign up with this, and it's much easier to do it this way in this program because they can name off the class. I have pull their name up, and I just keep clicking away, and I can send it to them email because actually I'm finding out they do have email addresses, so we are gathering those email addresses, and I can email them the receipt. Especially with our older adult stuff, there's the presentations and whatnot that we have, there isn't a cost attached to it, but I can utilize the system and just not have a fee for it. Then I can also track there how many people are coming to this presentation. Is it worthwhile having this presenter back? So that's going to be really good.
That's great.
so, anything else?
Anyone questions? Well, thank you so much for all that you do. We appreciate you helping out our community.
Thanks for all you guys do. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we'll move on to item 8A, which is consideration of approving the following consent agenda. Item A is minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, as presented. Item B, appointments of Trevor Zablocki as representative and Ryan McDonald as alternate to the Southeast Oakland County Resource Recovery Authority for terms to expire June 30th, 2025. Item C is an appointment of Trevor Zablocki as representative and Ryan McDonald as alternate to the South Oakland County Water Authority for terms to expire June 30th, 2025. And item D, list of bills in the amount of $455,717.89.
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved our consent agenda. Item 9A is consideration of a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance to amend the City of Clawson Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Article 10, zoning ordinance, Section 34-5.14, to revise screen height standards.
Madam Mayor, I move the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 782 to amend the City of Clawson Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Article 10, zoning ordinance, Section 34-5.14, to revise screen height standards, be approved and ordered published.
Support. Roll call, please. Oh, wait, does anyone have any questions or concerns? Sorry.
Do we need a public hearing here?
Oh, we do need a public hearing. I'll open a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this subject? We welcome you. I will close the public hearing, and then I will say, does council have any questions or concerns? Nick?
Nick, do you want to maybe elaborate a little?
So the city council had the first reading during their last meeting on, what was that, May 21st? And the planning commission had this ordinance amendment approved earlier in May, and it is essentially raising the height requirement from 4.5 feet to 6 feet along the property line between single-family zoning districts and off-street parking areas. And that's the ordinance amendment.
Okay. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Thank you. We have just moved to adopt ordinance number 782 to amend the City of Clawson Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Article 10, zoning ordinance, Section 34-5.14. Moving on to item number 9B is consideration of approving amended interlocal agreement for the Oakland County Tactical Training Consortium.
So moved.
Support. Chief House or Nick?
I'll provide the context here. The Clawson Police Department is a member of the Oakland County Tactical Consortium, also known as OCTAC. The Oakland County Tactical Consortium was established in 2009 to prepare Oakland County in the event of a major incident requiring mutual agency response. OCTAC facilitates a countywide training initiative and coordination of resources. The Oakland County Homeland Security Division has been an integral part of ensuring the success of OCTAC by facilitating training funds. The new agreement cleans up existing language in the document, adds 3 trustee positions to the board, and allows the board to appoint a fiduciary, which will be Oakland County Emergency Management. Each law enforcement agency member in Oakland County needs to have the agreement approved by their governing body. This is an updated Oakland County Tactical Consortium Agreement, which amends and replaces the interlocal agreement which Clawson entered into in 2012.
Thank you. Anything? Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Roll call, please. Michelle?
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes. Thank you. We have just amended our interlocal agreement for the Oakland County Tactical Training Consortium. And we will move on to item 9C. Consideration of placing the delinquent city water billings on the summer 2024 tax roll.
I move to place the delinquent city water billings on the summer 2024 tax roll.
Support.
Any comments? Roll call, please. Michelle?
Oh, you go with Nick?
Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. I don't know. I just am ready to move today, as always.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Every 6 months before the taxes are sent out to residents and businesses and business owners, the city is able to place the delinquent bills on their respective tax roll. The delinquent billing rollover consists of unpaid water bills to the city, which are then rolled over into their tax statement. This year, we are requesting that the following are rolled over into the summer 2024 tax roll. The delinquent water bills in the amount of $178,910.38, which is the total of the delinquent bills we're requesting to be rolled over into the 2024 tax roll. And then for reference, in the summer of 2023, the delinquent tax roll included $217,353.98.
Thank you. Now roll call, please, Michelle?
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
Yes. Thank you. We have just moved to place the delinquent city water billings on the summer 2024 tax roll. Moving on to agenda item number 9D, we have consideration of the Election Commission resolution to establish the temporary relocation of voting precincts 4 and 5 to establish an absentee ballot counting board.
I move the let me try that again. I move the resolution of the Election Committee held Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, to reorganize and temporarily relocate voting precincts 4 and 5 for the August 6, 2024 primary election to be established to establish an absentee counting board to process ballots received after 4 p.m. on Monday and day of election be approved.
Support.
Nick or Michelle?
She'll be able to add some more context. I'll give the overview real quick. On Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, the Election Commission met and approved the temporary relocations of Precinct 4 due to construction for the August 6, 2024 primary election, and Precinct 5 due to the demolition of Shalom School for both the August 6, 2024 primary election and November 5th, 2024 general election. Precinct 4 will be temporarily located at Hunter Community Center and Precinct 5 at Grace Apostolic Church. Also, to establish an absentee ballot county board to process ballots received after 4 p.m. on Monday and the day of election. Currently, we have an agreement with Oakland County to process the absentee ballots that are received prior to election deadline.
Does anyone have, Michelle, do you want to add anything? Does anyone have any questions for Michelle?
Just if you have questions, I can address.
So how, is there a mailing or how do we let people know?
Yes, there is. There will be postcards sent out to both Precinct 4 and 5 of the temporary location. Probably be out by the end of next week, is what I'm being told. So they are being processed right now.
And so for Hunter, because we know parking's tricky there, and I don't anticipate a ton of, well, there's more absentee people voting than in person, right? August might not be an issue, but if it trickles over to November.
My goal is to move it back to its original precinct, the one at Hunter, back to the high school where it was at. It's just we will not be able to use the high school for August.
Because of the
So hopefully
construction.
they'll be back in their location. That's why I'm only covering
Gotcha.
August right now. I am moving Precinct 5 for August and November to not, because at this point, we're not real sure where we're going to locate them permanently. So it's going to be a temporary relocation for both elections. So I'll probably bring it back before you for the November election just to temporarily move Precinct 5 again to Grace, through, just the process. But right now, we're going to hopefully get the high school back up and running. They should be back at full capacity by November.
Cool. Ballparky, absentee versus in-person percentages? Just ballparky.
The numbers have increased quite a bit. I think we have roughly permanent ballots, people requesting around 3,000. We have about 2,000 still on our permanent AV list, and you're looking at around 9,800 and some registered voters. So that, obviously, that walk-in traffic has really shrunk down, and we also have the early voting that has began with the 2022 proposal. So there's lots of opportunities to vote besides Election Day. Some people still like to exercise that right on Election Day and walk into their precincts. So we'll probably never get rid of that walk-in traffic. They're going to come in and vote in person. The one opportunity that if you choose to vote by absentee or by permanent ballot, you do have the right to bring that ballot in now and process it through the scanner. Because in past, if there was an error in there, if you've overvoted or, did something incorrectly on there, it would kick back to you when you're at the precinct. But if you're voting absentee, the people opening and processing the ballots would not have a way of determining what you meant. So the good thing is now people can take their ballot into the early voting site or to the precinct that day and process that ballot.
That's interesting,
Instead of
into the early voting site. So if I get
Yes.
one at home and I fill it out and I can go to the early
Yes.
voting, turn it in and be done and done.
That's part of the new laws.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yes. So we know that the numbers for August won't be as busy. So I think that we'll be okay at Hunter for August. November, I wouldn't really recommend having a, general election there. So
Cool.
we'll have to relocate that if they're not open back at the high school. And we may move the location within the high school. I did walk through. The gym is definitely a possibility. Trojan Hall is a possibility. There's a lot of big open spaces there. I almost kind of think that the media center's become kind of condensed. They've taken part of it in the remodeling and made it offices and such. So we may look at a different site within the high school, but it will probably be back at the high school as it has been established. So.
Thank
we
you.
need to have another resolution at another time?
I will bring it back in November, before the November, because I want to make sure that it works for August, number one. I really don't believe it's going to be a problem. The cards that I'm sending out to all the electors are saying your temporary location is at the Apostolic Church for Precinct 5. I feel like that we'll make it work for these 2 elections. I don't think it'd be permanent. It may become a permanent home. It may work out really well, and that might be where we move it. But at this point, I want to just move these 2 elections. But I'll still bring back, because the state law says the legislative body shall establish the precincts. So even though it's a temporary, I'll still bring it back for you for the November.
And is there a potential change for any of the other precincts at this point?
Not at this point. I know there's still redistricting happening, for the, I think it was a state, I forget which one now, State House, I think. But that won't affect this election. So if indeed that those change, then we might look at, and we still might look at condensing down to 4 precincts. Now that we have so many people voting absentee and permanent ballot, we might be able to condense down to 4 locations with our number of voters.
Okay, so nothing, that was my
The
question
goal,
last time.
yeah.
I was just curious if anything changed.
Nothing's changed that I'm aware of. Now, everything's set for this election for
Okay,
August.
all right, perfect.
So.
Okay, then roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. We have just approved temporarily relocating voting precincts 4 and 5 to the August 6th primary election, and have established an absentee counting board to process ballots received after 4 p.m. on Monday, the day of the election. And we will move to agenda item number 10A. Number 10A is consideration of an infrastructure bond proposal for the November 5th, 2024 general election.
I move to host discussion on the infrastructure bond proposal be approved. Supposed to approve the discussion? Is that the right thing I'm doing here?
You're making a motion. Yeah, motion and support to discuss
Yeah,
it.
okay.
We had a second?
Yeah,
Yes, we're good.
During the April 16th, 2024 regular city council meeting, the administration was directed to develop potential bond language for council's future consideration. Discussion was held at the special meeting on April 23rd and at the regular city council meeting on May 7th, at which the consensus was to remain focused specifically on the sewers, water mains, and roads for the ballot language. This was further discussed during the May 21st regular city council meeting, which consisted of a conversation regarding which of the 3 proposed bond options, bronze, silver, and gold, would be the most suitable option to pursue. Included in the council packet consists of the priority CIP projects and a breakdown of how the funding options would address the proposed projects. Also attached is a copy of the model of the estimated tax impact analysis of debt proportion options. Once council decides on the millage for the ballot language, the administration will place this tax estimation tool with only the decided millage rate on the city's website for residents to see how the millage will impact their property taxes. For reference, the PFM presentation has also been included in the packet. If the majority of council desires to move forward with bond language finalized during this meeting, we would be ahead of the schedule. Mr. Raker previously suggested of having a decision by the June 18th meeting, but if there is a consensus among the majority of council, decision can be made tonight before that June 18th meeting. Our absolute deadline is Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 at 4 p.m. for a ballot language to be certified by our city clerk and forwarded to the county clerk. The sooner we come to majority support for ballot language, the sooner we can begin an education campaign regarding the rationale for it. This has been placed on the agenda to allow the opportunity for council to make a determination on bond proposal language tonight. With us, we have our bond counsel, Pat McGow from Miller Canfield, and Finance Director Mark Pollock as well.
Okay.
So I had a particular question for Mr. McGowan. Oh, you're leaving for the best part. So we have 3 levels that we're considering, and my question is, if we were to approve one of the lesser levels, would there be an opportunity in the years down the road to then try and make up the disparity between, let's say, the silver and the gold level?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
And I know that you have had a lot of discussion over the last several meetings about the ballot language, the dollar amounts, et cetera. And just one thing to be clear, when you ask voters to approve a bond proposal, whether it's the city or a school district, it has to be written as a yes/no question. So you can't ask voters, do you approve this level, or this level? It's got to be a yes or no vote on the question that's presented. And you are allowed to bring another question at another election. There is not a limit on that. So you could bring, if let's say you went with a lower dollar amount proposal for this infrastructure, using the language that's in this, you could ask at a later election for a similar proposal for an additional dollar amount for infrastructure.
My question was more financially, though, so that, like, if we have, this amount that we can ask for, but we only ask for this amount, is this amount being reserved for, if you're trying to closed caption that, but is this amount reserved to be able to be requested at a later date?
Yes, and the answer is
Okay.
yes. So just to be clear about when you say about this amount to ask for, there's sort of two different things that were in that PFM presentation. One of them is the city has a debt limit, which is based upon your SEV. And it's, with certain exceptions, 10% of your SEV. And so you have, I think at the time of that presentation, around 60 some odd $1 million of capacity. Now that number changes year to year. As you pay off debt, you get more capacity. As you're asked for an amount which is less than that capacity, you still have debt limit capacity to do that. The second thing that these presentations are based on is what is the right amount of millage level that the city wants to have. And so of the three proposals, one millage level was set at the same debt millage rate that you're levying now, and then the other two were an additional increase. So there is not a limit on how much debt millage you can levy. The limit is really based upon the overall debt limit as a dollar amount. So if you ask for a lesser proposal, you would still have capacity both under your debt millage and the ability to levy extra debt millage in order to do additional projects in the future.
Excellent, thank you.
Anyone else?
So I'll just jump in. I know you've had a lot of discussion about this, and you have a lot of information in your packets that you've been talking about. So in order to put a proposal to the voters, there's really four things that go into the ballot question. State law says the way it's got to be worded, but there's basically four elements. How much are you asking the voters to authorize the city to bond for? Second is what projects? And I think you've got that refined now to the infrastructure description, and what facilities and parking lots are not in there. This is roads, water, sewer. So that part, I think, it sounds like there's been a consensus on. The third is the duration of the bonds, and this has been set up assuming a 20 or 21-year duration for each bond issue. And that was selected because that's kind of a standard duration for bonds based upon the useful life of the infrastructure. And it also fits in well with timing this so that the debt millage can be level across this entire duration. That's one of the things this was structured, and I know the council's been very concerned about the impact on the tax rate to voters. And there's two reasons why this is staggered like this. One is you can't do all the projects at one time. It's going to take many, many years to do. And secondly, by staggering it by about 2 to 3 years apart, you are reducing the millage impact to try to keep that level rate. So the duration, I think, has been decided. And then the fourth element is based upon the dollar amount and the assumptions of value, what are the estimated millage rates? So of those four elements, you pretty much, I think, narrowed it down to everything except the dollar amount and then the corresponding millage rates. And so I know that the administration has kind of packaged this as the three different proposals, with the intent that at some point council needs to pick one of the three. I think the motion could be made tonight, if you're comfortable with the ballot language that's in the packet, to come up with a number based upon that information that PFM provided back in April and the corresponding millage rate. So that's kind of where we're at, whether that happens at tonight's meeting or whether it happens at your next meeting. The goal is to try to get this done this month, even though August 13th is the absolute deadline. The more time you have to communicate to voters, probably the better. So that's, I think, why this is before you tonight. I'm here to answer any other questions you may have about the ballot question, and be happy to address any other issues.
So as far as any other supporting language that we may have that goes out to inform voters on it, what impact does that have regarding the language? That if we say, this is what we intend on having, this is part of what was presented as the ballot language, but we can't throw everything in there as far as street names and dates and all that, right? So if it's something, what, does that have any merit on the language itself? And if we decide to change what those are afterwards, does that nullify the language, or?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. So the ballot question, as I said, is pretty straightforward. It's a dollar amount. It's a general list of projects, water, sewer, roads, and an estimated millage impact. Now, the administration has come up with a list of improvements. That is not part of the ballot question. So ultimately, this is what you intend, what specific projects you're looking to target with the estimated construction cost, but it will be different when you get to that. So certainly, council has discretion after it's approved to change the order of projects, to change them around. You know, what voters are approving is authorizing the financing plan, the city to borrow X dollars for these projects. It's up to you and future councils to then each bond issue to determine, okay, how much are we doing in this bond issue, and what are the projects that fit within that description that was authorized by the ballot. So that's something that, certainly is going to change, but it's, I think, very important that you have a list of projects with estimated costs so voters can see, okay, this is what they're looking to do with the money, recognizing that the timing and the dollar amounts may change a little bit. I always say that the ballot language, it's really an authorization for the city to issue the bonds, not necessarily approving these specific projects. You have a list of projects with very detailed information, but there can be some tweaking and adjustments to that as time progresses based upon what you know. You were also asking about information to voters, and the city has had many bond proposals in the past. In the last decade, the city parks and the sidewalks, but, library, other things. And the city certainly has the ability to give the voters more information in the form of a newsletter or posted it on the website with a lot more detail. I know that there's been talk about having the estimated millage impact so people can input their taxable value and see what the millage impact is for them based on their house. So you certainly have the ability to communicate with the voters through the website or through some other, newsletters or things outside of the ballot language. And of course, the one caveat to that is that any information that the city puts out there, whether on the website or in a newsletter, has to be neutral in tone, information related, and not designed to lead to a yes or no vote. So you're not allowed to, campaign for a yes vote with your information, but you are allowed to convey to voters factual information about where the money's going to be spent, why you've chosen these projects, what the impact is to them. All those things are factual items that you can use your resources to educate voters on what would be included in a bond proposal like this.
I was just going to ask Councilmember Shepherd, were you looking for some sort of commitment or insurance or somehow giving the community an assurance that we're locking into certain programs or something?
There's that aspect of it. I mean, it's more about, if we say we've already presented, in information already, right? How is it that we're locked to that, right, in case something changes, right? Because we could have information on a website that on August 1st, somebody goes in and says, well, this is what it showed for my value of my house, and they go back next year and it's different, right? So we're still, that's a sliding scale, it's moving target, right? But we have something that we're saying we're committing to, right? It's not directly tied per item, right? But it's in a goal and an agenda that we've been talking about and putting out there that, look, this is part of this, but we can't necessarily tie every street, every corner, everything to this project.
That is correct. And it's very clear that, the law requires you to put in the estimated millage impact. And one thing we know is that it will be different. I mean, taxable values may change. We don't really know what the interest rate is until bonds are sold, but it's very clear that, when it comes, for example, the millage rate, the city can levy what it needs to pay the debt service. And it may be different than what was advertised because rates went up or down, or we borrowed a little more, this cycle versus the last.
Yeah.
But you certainly are allowed to put in your best estimates on the website, as well as we're required to put that in the ballot language. And it's very clear that, that can change, and you can levy what you need to cover the debt service.
And the only reason why I bring it up, too, is we've had that experience with the previous school bond, that inflation took a toll on what was originally put before voters. So that, I guess my point is that I'd like to strike while the iron is hot, right? Get as much as we can now before something else may come down the line that may impact our financial ability to get what we've already presented out in front of the public.
So in the spirit of your questions, and then I'll shut up. In the spirit of your questions, is there any obligation on the city's part to only spend the monies raised from this bond for what the bond said it would be used for? Because I think that's, if that's something we can include in the language, I think that gives people assurances that it's going to be used for the intended purpose.
I mean, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And just to be clear about what we are saying is that the proceeds have to be used to pay the cost to acquire, construct, reconstruct, and improve infrastructure for the city, including road and street improvements, water main replacements and improvements, sanitary sewer improvements, and storm sewer improvements with all related site improvements. That is what the voters are approving. So it's that list of categories of infrastructure improvements. The specific street projects and
No,
things on
right,
this
that
list
doesn't count.
is not what they're approving. It's that list of types of projects are the only things that the bond proceeds can be used for, plus to pay the issuance costs related to the bonds.
So that money's bucketed and it only gets budgeted for that, draws out of that. I think that's a key part to include in all of our information.
Correct.
I think
And then
that's-
also,
yeah.
just to add on to that, then each year when the city has that line item for debt millage, that money can only be used to pay debt service on the bonds. You can't use it to pay other projects. It can only be used to pay, so it's very specific. The bond proceeds can only be spent on this list of items, and the debt millage can only be used to pay interest and principal on the bonds that have been approved by the voters.
Cool.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve the gold plan.
And I think, I think the gold is too aggressive. I've talked to a lot of people in the community who said that they would not vote for it. They would support something lesser, but they're not going to support the highest possible. So I think it's tone deaf to go for the gold.
And if I may just tack on that, I've also had conversations that I've had the opposite conversations, so. That's that's part of the vote, right? So there's a poll out there. What it is, we don't know. But my concern is what we've experienced with the bond for the school, and that, not to say that they should have gone for more, but that potentially there may be something down the line that we won't be able to get all this done because of all the financial costs that are going to incur. So I'd like to get the gold now and see how much we can cover. Because in the end, by the time we're done with this, we may only end up with the bronze.
Well, my thought on it is, even with the richest plan, we're not able to address all of our concerns. And I think we're saying we're going to get this done, and I think we owe it to the residents to come up with a plan that will get the most done and to keep us on a track, because if we go for the lower end, we're coming back. We have to come back soon, and I just don't think that is doesn't show that we planned, to me, that I would be more annoyed by that I will be more annoyed by that if that's what we wind up doing. But my thought is to go higher. Let's give people the confidence that we are going to take care of as much as we can, and then just get going. Because, again, it's still not going to resolve all of our issues.
But if it fails, then we've got a long road until we can do anything else, and we're pushing it back. And I think we got an email from a citizen who countered you voted against it, And their comment was, well, you asked for too much. And speaking of the schools, a lot of people are really, have voters' remorse over voting for 2 school millages back to back like that. They're concerned about the increased costs. I think that we need to be respectful of people's monies.
Councilmember Binkowski?
I just want to clarify your motion. Were you saying I move to approve the infrastructure bond proposal resolution in the amount of $64,500,000 for the November 5th, 2024 general election?
I didn't say all of that, but if it gets my motion to what I want, sure.
Yeah,
But
well,
thank you for
I
giving
want
that.
to, I want to know what I'm voting.
Actually,
Represents, understood.
It sounds good coming from you.
if I could just clarify and expand on that, because that is the stated motion here. I think because we have the resolution form, which I know you got a new version of that tonight, in blank as to the dollar amount in the millage, I would actually suggest a friendly amendment that the motion would be for the bond proposal resolution, the amount of $64,500,000, and with the estimated millage impact of 3.5 mils in the first year and 5.26 average. Those are the 3 items that need to go into that resolution to complete it. So if somebody wanted to offer that as a friendly amendment or something, I'll defer to the clerk on how best she wants that to be accomplished.
Move to amend the motion. Move to approve the infrastructure bond proposal resolution in the amount of $64,500,000 for the November 5th, 2024 general election, with the first year millage rate being
3.5.
3.5 and the second year millage
The
rate being.
the average.
And the
millage,
average millage rate being
5.26.
5.26.
26.
Support?
I'm sorry, who supported?
That's not the amendment.
Other conversation?
Yeah, again, each one of these plans has a different tax impact. I thought maybe with Mark Pollock, maybe we'd like to get a little more clarification on what that would be. I mean, I've seen it in the packet, but maybe it's good to get out in the open.
Why don't we vote on the, on the amendment, so then we can
Oh,
talk more
sure.
about
Oh, vote on the
Yeah.
amendment?
Thank you.
Okay, good
Michelle?
point.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
No?
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes. Okay, we've approved the amendment.
I got a good question from Nick actually earlier today, because what you just approved is going to confuse some people, because you just approved a first year levy of 3.5 mils, and we're talking about 6.9 total. So what that will do is our 4.9 that's levied this year is going to drop to about 3.4. And our 3.5, which will be on the new levy, will generate 3.5 plus 3.4. So that's the scenario we put out. The gold plan is 6.9 mils of debt millage. Estimate, it could be lower than that. It's not likely to be higher, I will say that. It's likely to be lower. But we're levying old millage, what we've got left, and I think that was the point Councilmember Moffett was trying to make when I was up here before, is if we do nothing, that eventually goes to 0. And I think it's within 10 years of what's left. That will continue to drop. But what we're doing is we're borrowing as much as we can to keep that level at A level. 6.9 debt mills, which is 2 over what we're going to levy this year, is what we will levy over the next 21 years. And again, that could be lower. And then at this point, whether it's 10 years or 15 years from now, we'll probably be back saying we've got more work to do. Are you comfortable with 6.9 mils of debt? Do you want to cut that back to 5? It's going to depend on what needs to be done at that time to continue the infrastructure work that needs to be done, because we don't have 170 million available, but we're still going to keep doing as much as we can. The impact, we will put that calculator out there for people so you can plug in your taxable value and see specifically how it will impact you. You'll see the 6.9 mils if it's the gold plan. You'll see how that will impact your levy going forward. The additional 2 mils roughly is what you're going to see. And that's what people have to look at and decide. And it's a hit for everybody, it is. But you do have to decide. I still feel strongly that you're going to make the decision whether I can afford this or I cannot. And I agree with Councilmember Moffett. There are going to be people that say, it's too much, I can't do it, and they're going to vote no. You, as a board, have to decide. What do you think the level is that people will say, I want to move forward with this, I'll find a way to do it, or I support it? It's a tough decision, it is. And it may very well fail. Our hope is that people will see the value. As you're presenting, we'll do as much as we possibly can with this money, and you'll find a way to pay that difference. Now, the dollar breakdown was something else we thought was interesting. I actually borrowed that from Berkeley. You can see that your dollar of taxes is roughly half of it is going to, a little more than half, I think 55% is going to the schools and to the city. The rest is going to the county, the state. So there is a split of taxes. It's not all coming from us. There's levies elsewhere. And I understand the only ones that residents here can control are the ones that are Clawson, whether it's schools or the city. But you're going to have to make that decision in the end. And, you know, as an administration, we'll support whatever you decide. We will. And whatever the decision made, if it's, we get the most done with the gold, I think we will, obviously. It's 64.5 million versus 56. The still unknown is sewers. We're estimating 10. Let's all hope it's 5. And we get another 5 to do for water mains and roads. It could be. We're working from our engineers' estimates from 2008, 2009 when we last did it. So let's hope we only have to do, at that time in 2008, we did, I think, about $4 million in sewer. I think everybody thinks it's going to be higher than that. The cost alone will be higher, but if it's, we're estimating 10, but that still leaves a pretty good chunk of that list to do. So it's a tough decision. I don't know if I help Bruce trying to.
You're fine.
It's going to be an individual decision for everyone that votes. A difficult decision. But again, I'm amazed at when we do things like this here in Clawson. In the years I've been involved, you know, it's 20 plus years now. People supported it. I'm amazed. I really am. I know it's tough. I know it sucks for a lot of people, and there are going to people that vote no because they just can't afford it.
I'd like to begin by apologizing because I think I coded the terms gold, silver, and bronze. That may actually just have confused the issue because the difference between bronze and gold is a great deal if you're looking at two pieces of metal. In terms of the tax impact to the voters, it's not that big. Because my understanding is the bronze, there's no tax increase, no millage increase.
The maintained 4.9 of what we will, and our debt levy, which you approved for this summer, for your debt will be 4.9.
Yeah.
It would stay at 4.9 if it's the bronze.
And then the silver only takes you up an additional mill, I believe.
1.1 is the estimate.
And the gold takes you up 2 additional mills. Okay. Now, looking at the spreadsheet that was put out in the packet, right now, I believe in the model, they're assuming that the, I think, median taxable value of a house is $125,000. I guess, would that be you or Nick would?
Well, I actually
that.
just asked, he actually suggested, and I put this out there because it's deceiving because anybody who bought a new house knows they're nowhere near. The average residential taxable value in Clawson is $85,000.
Okay.
So it's a little less than that.
Okay, so that's an average. Mind you, you've got some people that are much greater, depending on the size of the house and how long you live there.
Right.
So $85,000 is a taxable value. You're paying an additional mill, you're paying, I believe it was $11 a month. If it was that much. Again, I'm going from memory here on the spread. And the gold plan, 2 mills, was about $20 a month. This is on average. So these are the numbers we're playing with here. It's not like, here, could you pony up another $80 a month? No, it's, if we go with option 3, labeled gold, it's $20 a month for the median or average, average, median is median is 50th percentile, average is on average.
Yeah. The median may be closer to the 120 figure.
So we're basically talking either bronze plan, 0 impact per month. Silver plan, $10, $11 a month. Gold, $20 a month. These are I think it's important people understand the significance of the numbers. So that's why at this point, I feel, I share Councilmember Moffitt's concern. I don't want to scare people off. I think we're all in agreement. We want this to pass. So yes, I think though those numbers are okay, although we can't throw them on the ballot. Now that said, you just said we confuse things with our.
It's the language that's on the proposal will say 3.5, so the total of that they estimate to be 6.9.
Okay.
And that's what the average will be going forward.
Yes.
That 3.4 in 2025 for the current millage will continue to drop. The other millage will continue to rise because they'll set up the debt schedule to pay more debt as we go. And then we have 4 series over the number of years.
And the graph
So
made
they're
it pretty
trying to-
clear.
Yeah.
In
The math
essence-
works that way. It just it levels it off around 6.9 for a number of years, and then it will start to drop.
I think one thing that maybe our residents aren't fully aware of is that the last bond millage we issued is about 15, 20 years ago. The work was done 2008 to 2013. From 2013 to now, they've been paying off a bond slowly. We're now at the point toward the old 1,000 words, right? It's almost like.
Off your car analogy, if I keep the old car, I don't have a payment. Realize that we're replacing something, so everyone will be a little higher. The gold level, it's the highest. And I also want to not, $20, no big deal, 65, so they're probably on a fixed income, was another big increase. And people discount the fact that even though,
Yeah,
or that
I
month.
understand.
So we can't trivialize that on top of everything else, right?
But now let's also consider what value is going to be less.
I've lived here for 30, it's still a significant amount. So we can't go, oh, it's not that wisely, all those the whole ball of wax in one, we can come back.
Earnings and what they have to put out. I think I'd be so proud. As said, this isn't going to resolve all of our issues right here. People who've shown over and over again for administration to task.
The car payments, but the car is falling apart.
Right.
Madam Mayor, I was actually hoping not to vote on this week and put it off to next week. The reason for that is I was hoping to see more of our administration's sales pitch and to see a little more of the, hear a little more about what we're going to do. Are we going to build a new dedicated website for this? Who's going to do it? What information are we going to put on it? These kind of things. And yeah, I don't want to micromanage them, but then again, I also don't want it to fail. This is probably the biggest deal, the biggest voter outreach that we've done in Clawson in quite a while. So, and I want all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and I was actually hoping that maybe we could start to see, the beginning of how we're going to sell this to the voters before we put it on the ballot. But, so I honestly would be willing to table this to the next week, but then again, what difference, maybe it doesn't make a big difference, but I would like to know exactly how we're going to sell it.
I mean, that's.
I can chime in on that a little bit, Councilman. So for the last few months, we've had this conversation numerous times. We've had all of the CIP projects listed on our website currently right now, and once whatever plan gets approved by this body, we'll have a dedicated webpage front and center that residents can go and access where they can utilize the tax impact analysis document. They'll be able to see the list of tentative projects we have scheduled to use the funding on. And, obviously we've talked about a handful of times that, the priority projects may change as certain roads may be decreased. Once our cameras are sewered, some projects may become a stronger priority. But all of the information we'll have posted on the website. If the decision is to move forward tonight, I think we would do our best to roll something out sometime next week on the webpage. And we can present that at the June 18th meeting, kind of what our approach is, and we can modify that if need be. But we'll basically just take everything that we've been presenting to you at this point, modify it to whatever plan has been selected, maybe add a little more detail if we need to, if that's what the council's looking for. But it's basically going to be everything we've talked about at this point, just specifically for whatever bond proposal the council chooses to pursue.
And I'm sure administration, like the council's understands the critical importance of education on this process because we all want it to be successful. There's no benefit for any of us to do it half-heartedly. We need this to pass because if it were to fail and we had to come back again, it just won't, it's not
I'll
helpful.
add in just an experience today. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, at City Hall, there was a couple here, I believe they were paying taxes or a water bill, and I was just walking in the lobby of City Hall, and I stopped and asked them if they had any questions or anything, and they were asking when the next city council meeting was, because they wanted to talk about the road, and it was specifically Elmwood. And, they weren't really aware at this point that the council was pursuing funding options for infrastructure, and they were happy to hear that, Elmwood is, I believe it's number one on the priority list right now. And, they were going to come speak on the quality of infrastructure and that they're pushing for improvements. And I shared what the council will be talking about tonight. And they're happy to see that the city's making steps to upgrade the infrastructure that certainly needs it. And so there are people that have come around City Hall asking questions. And, I think once we have a plan decided, we'll be able to share that and communicate that with the residents much easier than skeptics right now.
Anyone else?
I will say one final thing is when I knocked on a lot of doors last year trying to get elected, the folks who were more shocked and complaining about their taxes were frankly not the long-term residents who are protected by the Headley cap, but by a lot of younger homeowners who are just moved in and their values reset, and they're having to pay kind of the brunt of this, myself included. But to me, that's really that's really someone you need to sell on this is some of these younger homeowners and newer homeowners, I should say, who are paying probably a little more than the folks who've been here 30 years. Live in a
Crappy house.
No, you have a good tax value. Don't downsell your house. I wish we could do it for free. We can't. There's no money out there for us, so we have to make a tough decision. And we have a motion on the table. Shall we vote? We shall.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
No.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski, will you summarize what we just agreed to? Because you were so good at it.
We agreed to put a bond proposal on the ballot for $64,500,000 that will have an average annual millage rate of 5.32 mils.
5.26 and 3.5 mils is the way I have it.
What was that?
3.5
3.5, okay.
for the first year and 5.26 mils.
5.26, that's the
average.
important one.
Very well done. Teamwork. Thank you very much. Okay, that was a lot, but something that needed to be done. And let's just do our due diligence and make this go through and make everyone happy in the future. So next up, we have item number 11, which is public comments for items not on the agenda. If you're here this evening and you'd like to speak, we welcome you to the podium, and we just ask you to give your name and your address. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Sato. I live at 1085. Sorry. I've not done this before, and I'm also exhausted, so please be gentle with me.
You're good.
Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Sato. My husband, Hajime Sato, and I live at 1085 Goodale, and we have a small business at 449 West 14 Mile Road. I understand it's a 3-minute limit. I respectfully request that if I go slightly over, that you please give me a few moments.
Can
I
you
would
turn
really
your
appreciate
microphone
it.
down, though? I can barely hear you.
I am so sorry.
There we go, there we
You're
go.
good.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm trying to be brief, and I would welcome any questions for clarification. I'm just trying to be brief, and I'm very tired. About a week and a half ago, a person not living in the community, a person who was armed, made very specific, very detailed threats to murder my husband based entirely on his status as a non-white immigrant. I apologize for pausing. It is very hard to talk about. I hope that you never have to read the things I read and substitute in the name of your spouse or whoever you love. Okay? I'm here today to ask for help. I don't know what to do. I've exhausted options. Actions have been taken. It's very complex. I'm sorry. Specifically, I guess the 2 points I wanted to address. Number one is I did speak with the prosecuting attorney today, finally, and I understand charges. The city of Clawson is bringing charges against this individual, and the Ethnic Intimidation Act, which we have in the state of Michigan, those charges are not being brought. And I do not understand why. I don't know if anybody here understands why, but I thought I could come here and address a lot of people, and I'm very tired. So if somebody here cannot address why those charges are not being brought, if somebody here could direct me who to speak with, because in the last week and a half, I've been bounced around a lot. So can somebody speak to why this is not important to the city of Clawson prosecutor, because my husband is going to get murdered if we cannot protect him? And right now, my entire job is to protect my family. That is the reason I'm here bothering you.
Ms. Santo, you are not bothering us, and we want all of our departments and people associated with the city of Clawson to be respectful and responsive to you. And I'm going to...
Thank you.
Mr. Dushai.
I'm happy to address it afterwards.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Mr. Dushai. He is our city attorney.
We spoke, yes.
Okay, he probably is your best bet, and I would, for your sake, I would not want you to share specific, particular, personal information that anybody can just pick up and watch. Let's, unless that's what you want to do. It is open talk. You can speak to whatever you'd like, but this is the person you would want to speak with, and
We have spoken, yes.
Okay.
And I don't understand, and I'm really doing my best, guys,
No,
okay?
you're fine. You were fine. You do what you need to do.
I'm a team player. It's been a crap week.
Oh.
I did find the Michigan Alliance Against Hate Crimes, and they have this little brochure, which I don't know how many people would be here. And I would ask everybody on the council and everybody to make these available, because, most of the folks in Clawson look like me and you. Most of the folks in Clawson don't look like my husband. Ethnic intimidation is a thing. Hate crimes can be done against so many people, not just people of color. And there's a really good little summary in here. And I don't know if I should leave these here or what, but if you could give me 3 minutes to take home and read. Hi, Nick. I think it's worthwhile. And I don't even know what to say. So I wanted to bring this up, and I don't understand what we talked about today. And maybe it's above my pay grade. I don't deal with these things. I don't want to be here. I feel I need to be. I don't know what else to do. So number one, I would really ask everybody in Clawson to maybe just take a minute and kind of think about that, because this isn't even about my husband. What we've experienced, and we're having to make a lot of really terrible decisions right now that seem very surreal and terrible. But for other folks coming into the city, and just for yourselves, because y'all seem like nice people. You seem like compassionate people, and communities, yeah. So that was number one. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is, being unprovoked and having this sort of thing happen. I know I've been bothering a lot of people, because I don't know who to bother. I don't know what to do. And other communities I've lived in had different services, like an advocate or some kind of coordinator, I don't know, where if you were finding yourself in such a situation and you did not know who to call or what the next step is, or if you're tired of being passed around from person to person and hearing really dismissive, terrible things. I think it would benefit Clawson. I think it would benefit every community to consider to bring in a trained person who could advocate so that when people are unfortunately finding themselves on this end and they don't know what to do, they're not calling the wrong people and they're not getting bounced around. Because Google is the person I've spent the most time with for the last 10 days. And I haven't been sleeping and I haven't been eating. And I'm not being dramatic. And it's really hard. So I think that Clawson could use that. One single person to come in and kind of be that person to help people get through things, because I don't know what to do. That's why I'm here, because I can talk to a lot of people at once. I would welcome any suggestions you have, genuinely. I don't know what to do. And it's not your problem either, I guess. You know, y'all didn't do anything wrong, but neither did my husband. And if anything happens to him, I don't know. And yes, actions have been taken. But it's gun violence awareness, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I would be happy to answer any questions and flesh anything out that doesn't make sense to you.
Unfortunately, our public comment is generally just an opportunity to allow you to speak, and we're technically not allowed to have a dialogue back and forth. But I would like to encourage you to speak with Mr. Nushai
We've already
following
spoken.
the meeting, and if you'd like someone else involved in your conversation, if that would give you confidence, please grab any of us. We'd be happy to participate with you. But we appreciate your coming here. We do not want this to be the image of Clawson. Clawson is generally a lot of really great people working together with other really great people, and let's see if we can rebuild that image for you. So if you can give Mr. Nushai an opportunity, our meeting is almost to the close here. We'll see if we can get you home with a little more confidence. That would be great. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for public comments? No? Then we will move on to the city clerk's report.
The only report I had tonight was to talk further about the election coming up and the cards going out, which we've kind of already covered it during the motion of the change. So I just, our absentee applications will be going out probably by the end of this week, and by the end of next week will be the temporary location cards. So the voters should be watching for those to show up in their mail. And if they have any questions or concerns, to call the clerk. We will have information up on the website with these changes, and we're also going to have our social media get information out regarding the changes as well. I'm working on ordering signs for the 2 locations of changes. There will be some kind of like a A-frame sign at both locations to let voters know where to vote, which will be placed out in the best location we can. I'm not really sure how the layout's all going to be come August, but we'll do our best to notify the voters, and obviously we'll do our best to get the information out. We even talked about maybe putting something out on our sign, just to let people know in those precincts. People sometimes don't really realize what number their precinct is, so it makes it kind of difficult to do a general notice. But we'll do our best to get the information out there, and we'll work on community, getting the community aware and notice before the election comes up.
2 questions.
Yes.
One pertaining to what you were just talking about, you made me think of, there's a lot of websites that people can go to when there's an election to see where your precinct is. Will those websites be updated with that new
I
information?
have already updated our qualified voter file, which is through the state with the temporary location. So if you were in one of those precincts and you go to I think it's it's MVIC.
Okay.
Is the website that you go to, that you can look up to see where you're registered to vote or to request an absentee ballot. So that state site, which will make sure that that link's available, if you go to that right now, it has already been changed in the qualified voter file. So people will, if they go and say, I wonder where I vote, they should be able to obtain that information. And it does state that it's a temporary site, so they are aware that it's just a temporary, move for this election. So we're trying to get it out as best we can. We do work with some other organizations out there too, but we're going to deal with strictly the state organizations right now and make sure that the voters know, where to go. So that's the link that will be given, and hopefully that will help.
Cool. And then I have another question. There's some chatter on Facebook, and they actually came to my door, some people looking for signatures for a ballot proposal, a marijuana ballot proposal. What do you know about that, or where can we get information about that, or that might be for?
I've heard some chatter too.
Yeah.
However, my office has not been made aware of the canvassers out there soliciting petitions directly. No one's come in and asked permission or told me that they're out there. However, I've talked to the city attorney tonight. It is a, political petition, if you will. They're out there soliciting signatures for a petition to put something on the ballot. They don't necessarily have to register with us. We prefer that they let us know that they're there, because I could have answered the questions that I received, that yes, we know they're out there, that kind of thing. But I don't know how many are out there canvassing, but I am getting complaints from those that have the no-knock registry and no soliciting signs. The complaint that I received personally was, I have a sign up there, they still knocked. I can't fix that. We obviously try to let any canvasser or peddler that comes in to our office, we let them know that we have this policy and this ordinance. However, you would think that they would, walk by that door that says that, but apparently they were not.
Yeah.
And what I read on the Facebook feed that I was looking at was, it was quite a few people complaining about it, and it happened quite a bit yesterday, probably yesterday and the day before. So I do know they're out there. I know it's I don't know the intent of the petition because I've not seen it.
That was kind of my question, and I don't know, I've never done a ballot proposal like that. Do you have to have that registered with Oakland County? Is there some place to go to get the information on that, or am I cutting into your time?
No, you're not. They don't well, they could, but they don't necessarily have to. They can start collecting petitions. They register with the state, not with the county.
Oh.
So there is a way probably to find out.
Well, there is a committee out there. It doesn't really say what the committee is. I thought I had I don't know if I still have it here. I don't know if I brought that one in with me.
But it would be just cryptic information as far as the committee is concerned.
Yeah, so they're
So they registered with the state versus the county?
Correct.
So it's really for campaign finance is what they have to register. So it's not like they're registering the petition. So we know that there's a committee out there. We don't really know what that petition is. I mean, I'm sure that our residents could probably share it with us, but I have not seen it, so I don't want to address what it's all about. But I do know that they are canvassing our city.
Oh, yeah, they came to my house on Sunday.
And so without actually seeing the language or we do know a couple years ago, we did have the marijuana dispensaries on the ballot. There was 2 different petitions that were presented to the voters, and it failed. So if that is kind of where they're going, which I was told by I think it was Oakland Press called me regarding if we had knowledge, and I obviously did not, but they had heard about it. And there's other communities that are also being presented with the same petition. They're the communities that don't have dispensaries currently. So it is possible it's the same kind of thing, and I think that's what I'm reading on the forum is that, people are saying we already voted on this kind of thing, but we can't control. Obviously, it's an initiative petition, and they can bring forth something to this body and to the city, so.
So there's a chance it's still, even if they get the signatures, then the ballot language has to be approved and all that sort of stuff. So it's still, we don't know if it's going to be on or not.
Correct. And if you remember, this would be an issue that comes before council as well. if you recall last time.
I don't remember.
My apologies. Yeah, so it's, it sounds like they're collecting petitions for a referendum of some sort, which means council has a role. The matter does come before you for a vote before it gets sent out to the community for their vote.
Before it goes on the ballot, then? Oh, interesting. Now that you say that, I kind of remember that, but yeah.
So if this is indeed regarding cannabis, do they not have to be registered with the Cannabis Regulatory Agency in some capacity?
I imagine so, but but to answer the question as to
Whether or not they did or
whether it's, if it is out there available for us to be able to find it publicly easily, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So, Rennis, if they get the sufficient number of signatures, this body has the ability to block whether it goes on a ballot or not?
No, well, no. If we have both the charter addresses it now, as well as we have an ordinance that I believe they're not in conflict with one another. They give the body the ability, the choice of either adopting as presented or forward to the community to be placed on the ballot for the community to vote on.
Okay.
So
we can either, in other words, our involvement is either just
adopt as is,
preemptively adopt,
Correct.
or it's, we're not going to vote on it, we pass it to the voters.
Correct.
I remember that now. Cool, thank you.
Mr. Nusai, attorney's report.
Thank you, ma'am. With respect to the gentlelady's comment, public comment, obviously the matter being a current prosecution and active police investigation, I cannot comment on the specifics of it. With respect to the general question that was posed, the city of Clawson does not have an ethnic intimidation charge. Both the state as well as the federal government do, but obviously, a city prosecutor does not have the ability to prosecute pursuant to state law and or federal law. Only state prosecutors and federal prosecutors have that ability. So to that extent, I've passed on the information just so the council is aware, and if the gentlelady did not understand it, I'm happy to do it again, of course.
So to clarify that, how would the state get involved in something like that then?
If the police deem that matter appropriate to be submitted to the state based on the factual scenario, they would do so. They would submit it to the state prosecutors for their review of the factual scenario by way of a police report, and then they can either authorize charges or deny as they seem fit.
And so, just to her point, that's something only you could do, or could she contact some sort of state police authority and say, what?
Well, I leave the gentlelady to her devices. That said, the prosecutors are only on the receiving end, meaning the police they do the investigation, collect the evidence, whatever the case may be, and then they present it to the appropriate authority wherever they deem it appropriate to be able to collect charges. If they do not submit it for an ethnic intimidation, as I presume, and we cannot speak to this obviously based on the specific case, but I would presume is because they do not see sufficient grounds to be able to do so.
Gotcha.
Okay. So at this point, it's their discretion to whether they want to add in ethnic intimidation. And although you can't comment perhaps on a prosecution, can you at least say, is it currently being prosecuted at some level?
It is.
Okay. So inferring from her comments, prosecution is proceeding, just not at the level she would like to see. That's the sense I got from that.
That's the sense I got from her as well, sir.
So if there's no ethnic intimidation element, then they'll just do it the old-fashioned way, which was, if you threaten someone, you'll be possibly prosecuted. I mean,
there's an active prosecution.
There was a day when we didn't have ethnic intimidation and race crimes, and yet laws still got enforced, people got incarcerated, and they got executed.
Yes, sir.
So prosecution is proceeding.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
May I have one more?
Of course.
Yeah.
Since we didn't have our meeting today of the ordinance review, I figured I'd throw one in just in case. We have Chapter 86, which of the Code of Ordinances, which deals with vegetation, and we had a recent complaint on one aspect of it, and it caused me to go and take a look at it. And part of the chapter deals with trees, shrubs, all related items. It's actually a neat, very good little ordinance. It has one component missing that affects me personally just based on certain activities that I do. And I wanted to bring forth a slight amendment. I'm going to do so at the next meeting, probably with your permission and acquiescence. One of the things that it doesn't have our ordinance currently that deals with trees is a way for people in the community and outside the community to donate trees to us. And if they want to donate trees, where to place them in this community. And I would like to be able to have council at the next meeting and going forward create a process, propose a process for you to consider, and create a process where we can actually accept tree donations in the city, as well as allow for them to be planted wherever we may have shortcomings throughout the city. It's a neat little thing that we ought to do. It drives me nuts that my own community does not do it, but I figured I'd affect the one that I can. So,
Here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
We're the better community, not that anyone's keeping track.
And once you have that vote, Madam Mayor, I will put it in writing that you are.
We got the big heart here.
For so many reasons, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If
problem.
you have any
Thank you.
questions.
Just following up on that, so we passed the landscaping ordinance for public spaces
Yes.
back in '21. Is that the
Yeah,
ordinance?
and that ordinance, I was looking at the history of it. It started in 2012, and there's a series of supplements and changes to it. And we have a couple of different, obviously, our zoning ordinance deals with landscaping as well, right? So, but that's, the Chapter 86, it's its own separate. It deals with both vegetation, trees, shrubs, and things of this nature, but also deals with harmful vegetation, which was where the complaint came from today. And that caused me to look at it, and again, we have that. I think it's a shortcoming. I think if people, want to donate, I presume we're not fully stacked on trees in this community. I think we can agree on that. I think we do have some shortcomings, and why not allow people the ability to be able to plant trees if they so wish, and just we determine what the appropriate locations are. And I've had the conversations in the past year with Trevor. He's helped me out with a couple of locations. I think it will be a neat little program to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick, do you have a city manager's report?
Yeah, just a couple of brief items. So first off, just want to thank the Friends of the Blair Memorial Library, the library staff, and all the volunteers for hosting the third annual Blair Bazaar this past Saturday. There was great weather. I heard there was a really good turnout, and so hopefully they'll be back again for the fourth annual Blair Bazaar. And then this upcoming Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon is the Department of Public Works Open House and Recycling event. Stop by the Department of Public Works, which is located at 635 West Elmwood across from the city park. During the event, you can view the facility, view the equipment, and then meet our team that takes care of all of our public infrastructure. On site, provided by soccer, will also be a paper shredder, and residents will also be able to recycle old electronic items and other hazardous materials that your typical recycling does not collect. So again, that's this Saturday, June 8th, from 9 to noon at the DPW yard. Then the final item is that the final connection for the water main at Batter Street was scheduled to be done today. I believe it was, but it's either going to be today or tomorrow. And so once that's completed, the only item left on that project is restoration, which is scheduled to be done by the end of June or early July. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
On that Batter project, they're continuing to, on the Troy side, right? How long, will that have any impact on our side for water, or?
I don't want to say no at this time. I don't think it should. I think all of the water impact is concluded pending the final connection that should have been done today.
Okay.
So no, it shouldn't, but if it is, we'll be sure to communicate that with residents.
Okay.
Any others? Okay, let's move on. Oh, do you have a
Just
question?
if you could repeat, you say this recycle event on Saturday, they'll recycle even like electronics and other things that like say soccer won't take? Okay,
Yes.
where's that located at?
The soccer event is also held at the DPW, so
Okay.
people can drive up into the yard and drop off any type of items that can be recycled there. And we do have flyers and more information on our website and social media that outlines more of the items that can be recycled. I just don't want to sit here and read all those off.
Sure, I understand.
Why,
But we
Nick?
understand
Why?
I can, but I think everyone's probably ready to go.
Right, I know.
Yes, they do. They
Oil?
do take paint. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that soccer, as much as soccer takes, there are some items they just won't.
Correct.
So this is like a free-for-all, what we're saying?
Things on the list.
We can call it that, yes.
I just,
Free-for-all recycling event.
all right.
Is there any limit on how much shredding you can bring?
There's nothing stated, so I'm going to say no.
Cool, okay.
Okay, City Council comments. Councilmember Binkowski.
Nothing from me.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Nothing?
Councilmember Anderson.
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Shepherd.
No, not tonight, thank you.
Okay, I just want to say a quick shout out to Detective Ryan Tracy for being the police officer of the quarter. I saw that, that's kind of fun. I would like to say thank you to everyone who participated in the Memorial Day presentation, acknowledgement if you were there. It was so nice. It was, the rain didn't really come hard, and it was just a beautiful day to honor the people who sacrificed for our country and for a community to come together. It's one of my favorite events, just the whole patriotism and small town USA. So thank you to all who had something to do with that. And Nick mentioned the Blair Bazaar, but if you were at the Blair Bazaar the other day, or if you've been to the library, or you haven't, make sure you get over there and check out the beautiful plants that have been put in at the gazebo. The, I don't know what the formal group is, the gardeners, which is just really bunch of really nice people. And Donna Hughes, who she kind of led it up, and they just did a beautiful job putting foliage around our gazebo, and it makes it look so complete. And that's all. And thank you for those of you who sat through this meeting with us tonight. We appreciate you, and we can.
I move we adjourn.
Support.
Can do that. Did we get a second?
Give me.
Yeah. And the roll call, please.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Meeting adjourned.